Good morning and welcome to a new webinar by Catenda. I'm your host today, Julien Benoit, Head of Customer Success at Catenda. And this one is a bit special to me because it pushes the boundaries for Bimsync as a product today. And we will cover in this webinar how you can improve your design collaboration with the point cloud integration we just delivered. So we will be together for around 20 minutes and let's get started. So first thing, I need to explain a bit what is point cloud or point clouds plural, because some of you may not exactly know what it means and what it is. And it's some technical parts I need to cover before we get into details. So from Wikipedia, the trusted source a lot of you know already, it's a point cloud is a set of data points in space. Basically, it's the recording of a set of points. It could be millions, hundreds of millions sometime, and large ones. And every point represent a coordinate in space, X, Y, Z coordinate. And of course, you can add other information like colors and stuff. But the root of this is a point cloud is a set of coordinates for registering positions in space. And there are various technologies that can be used for that. It's been around for several years and mostly maybe in the manufacturing industry, scanning parts for vehicles and stuff like that. But now it started to be mainstream, if not mainstream yet, but soon to be mainstream in the construction industry. And I will just present you now some ways of acquiring point clouds on your projects. Most of the time, it's been it's done by surveyors. So you need to order your surveyors to have a scan, and some of them already do it by default nowadays. So you have several technologies available on the market for the construction industry, and the first one being laser scannings. So you have some brands around that are providing devices like Leica, for instance, and you basically fire a laser beam to the surroundings where you place the laser scan, and you collect in every point the XYZ coordinates and some other data that you save as a file. Maybe most of you have seen that already, and if not in person, you heard about it or you saw some videos about it. Another way to collect point clouds is photogrammetry. It's a very peculiar technique, and it's I think it's special, and it involves a lot of back-end calculation because it's building up a point cloud out of pictures taken in a specific way, and where every pixel in a picture acts as if it was hit by a laser beam. So photons basically are used as lasers, and they kind of represent the XYZ coordinate. So you need a lot of back-end processing to actually rebuild an image, a solid or a 3D point cloud from pictures. And nowadays it's done most of the time on construction sites or on projects by drones, flying drones. Sometimes it can be little robots going every here and there in the project, and on other applications it can be even satellites and airplanes. And the last one is very similar to laser scanning. You could even argue that it's the same technology. It's called LIDAR. It's a different type of light that is used than laser scans. And it can be, it's getting more and more mainstream. It's getting cheaper and cheaper. You can have, as on the picture, you can have a portable device. So you can have a backpack with some LIDAR scanning on top of it. Some drones nowadays, recently, I think one of the main providers for laser scanning devices just issued a new drone with this capability. And you may not know, but you may have a device already that has this capability in your pocket or on your desk, because the latest releases from, I think it's iPhone 12 Pro, the Pro versions of iPhones and the Pro versions of iPads have this LIDAR sensor embedded. So you already can do, and I will show you a little demo at the end of this presentation on how you can use it nowadays with some apps and upload the result to Bimsync. There are more technologies available on the market, but they are not used right now in the construction industry. It's touch sensors, like you have to follow the surface of a part with specific devices, and that's not really on the market for the AECOO industry nowadays. So that being said, once you finally acquired a point cloud dataset, what do you do with it inside Bimsync? So some specification here. So it's a first iteration for the product here in Bimsync. So there will be along the way improvements, probably more file formats, etc. So it's just the first iteration, remind that. We support nowadays 2 file formats, the E57 and the LAS format. They are standards. Mostly E57 is a wide used format. Sometimes you need to convert files from XYZ to E57, but there are first thing, the surveyor can do that for you, and there are some open source software that are able to do that quite easily. And I will probably have a tutorial video explaining how you can do that later on. The way it works in Bimsync, even though I will demonstrate it to you later, it's upload in the document section. That's something to be very aware of. You will push your files, E57 or LAS, into the document section. We have now implemented a file size limit for several reasons. One being the uploading time, because if you have a large data set, you can run into trouble sometime by uploading it to the system, thanks to some network limitation, I would say. And another one is the time and the resource we have to process the files. So we had a limit in place, and it's 25 gigabytes of E57 or LAS file, which is already, it should be large enough in most cases. And if not, there are ways to split a large data set into sub data sets that are smaller than 25 gigabytes, and you will still be able to display them together in the viewer, because you can, as I will show you later on, you can display several point cloud files in the viewer. You will first, before viewing it in the viewer, you will be able to preview it in the document area. So you will be able to validate in a way if that's the correct one, or if that's the one you were expected. And once you're happy with that, you will be able to display in the viewer of Bimsync with IFC models and have a match between them. I will come back to this topic because, of course, every time you merge models and geometry into a viewer, there's always the challenge of placement. But if your IFC files and your point clouds are registered with the correct coordinates, that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, it's demo time now. Let me show you how it works. So I will use a demo project for that purpose and show you what to do and how to tune your point cloud into the viewer. So as I said, you will upload your point cloud files into the document area. So it's, as every document in Bimsync, it's very simple. You just have to click on the little plus button, pick a file. It will be an upload document pop-up coming in, and you say, okay, upload. You wait the time that the file goes through, and when you see it here, you will have a little banner telling you that we are processing your file. So about the processing time, we don't have enough background in a way to extrapolate how the time will be for your file to be processed, because it's about the size, but not only. It's also a matter of point density and that kind of stuff. So we can't really predict how much time it will take. But of course, the larger the file, the longer it will take to be processed. But it can be, I don't know. I try to come up with a scale, like let's say 1 gigabyte per hour, something like that. But sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it's faster. So you never know upfront. So along the way, with time and people feedback, we will learn from that, and we will be able to have more clarity on how long it takes to actually be processed by our system. Once it's ready, I will not use this one because it's the stupid little one. I will use this one. It's a dataset example coming from internet. You are in the document area and you can preview your dataset. There's not much you can do. You can't really adjust anything, but you can preview if that's the correct one. So it gives you the ability to check if the file that you pushed here is the correct one. And the new thing you can see in this document section is that now we have a 3D button coming here. And when you press that button, you actually load. Sorry, I need to remove that one. Here we go. You load the dataset, the point cloud file, in the main viewer of Bimsync. And this is where you will be able to display your dataset the way you want. So let me show you various some settings you will need to tune to have the perfect result you expect. So first thing, as you may have noticed, and you will notice it if I zoom in a bit, we are slowly pushing all the data to the viewer and to the browser, because of course when we process a dataset that is like up to 25 gigabytes, it takes time to be pushed to your machine. That's just because there's a network between us, really. So as you can see, we have a clever way to display the result instantly, and with time and some patience, being still at some point, you see the definition increasing. So we push more and more and more data into the browser, so you can see more details coming up. So it's a ongoing process, so it never stops in a way. It's keep being refined along the way, and with some experience, you will see that it's kind of it's a nice way of displaying quickly the result. And still, you can see more details coming in after some time. You can adjust, of course, the way it looks. There are many ways to do that. And the first one will be in the viewer setting. We have now a new point cloud setting as a point budget. So if you adjust this, you will reduce the amount of points you allow your browser to load in a way. So if you want to keep things every time super fast, you keep it to the minimum, and it's the minimum of points that will be loaded into the browser. If you want the maximum details, you push it to the max, and then our system will push everything we have until we reach this budget. So it's up to you. You will be making some tries and errors, and you will see how it goes. The next setting you can do on individual files is in the revision selector here. We have this new layer here. You see there's a file. So if you click on here, you will see the file selected on the left. So if I go back to documents and if I do this, it will point to the right document in here. And then there's a setting area here. So you can click on this setting and you have different things you can tune. The first one will be attributes of points. So depending on the source of your point cloud, sometimes you will have colors like the one you have on the screen. Sometimes you will not have colors. And when it's the case, you have a point cloud that is completely black and you basically see nothing. To solve this, we have the choice to display intensity. And by doing so, it will be like a black and white picture, and you will be able to see any point cloud even if there's no color registered in every point. So that's something to remember. If you push a file that comes out completely black, you can switch from our RGBA to intensity. But of course, it's way nicer to have colors. The next one is opacity. So when you have an overlay of a model in IFC and a point cloud, you can reduce the visibility of the point cloud to better see the model. And the last thing that is quite important to know and test also, because it depends on the data source, is the point size. So default is adaptive, which means we will try to make the best of the viewpoint and the quantity of points that are available to display as fast as possible the information. And you can tune a bit the results. So if you see, if I reduce the point size, you see that the graphics are updated as well, right? So it's up to you. It depends on the source. It's not always true to say 0.2 or 0.1 or even more. It depends really on the file. And if you know that you want to have a clear view all the time, so you don't want this adaptive behavior, you will choose fixed value, and then you tune the value of the point. You decide what size each point should have. And depending on the zoom and where you are in the model, of course, it affects the way it's displayed. So it's really a matter of tries and errors. You will sometime need to have a view that shows like fat points. You will need to go here and increase the size of the points. Sometime you will need, for some reason, to make it very light. It's really up to you. Default will be always adaptive with 1 as a result. And that's the fastest we experience to load data sets quite quickly. And then once it's loaded, everything is here, so you can have navigation around. You can navigate stuff immediately, right? So that's the basics for using point clouds inside Bimsync right now. I have another example in another project where you can. So I will pop up the documents again. Here we go. And once you're done with it in the viewer, you can just click this little cross, and that will remove from the viewer the data set you just loaded, right? On another example here, I can show you how it goes when you have an overlay of point cloud and an IFC file. So they've been registered correctly, so the coordinates are just matching, so you see the result of the scan and the model behind it. So then you can see differences, you can see if something was wrong, something was right, so it depends on what you need, but you can see some construction site, some workers even, so you can really have a snapshot of what's happening on your site. And you can analyze, of course, if you dig into, let's cut a bit below that, and you start to look at differences, and you can see like, okay, so I made you see there's a slight difference in the formwork, because if I make these little points a bit smaller, maybe. Okay, so that's the other one. Here we go. Here you can see that there's a difference between the model and the end result. You can see there's a slight difference here, right? So that's the kind of work you can do. You can definitely, with this feature, you're able to share data sets that previously were a bit difficult to share with everyone on a project because they were huge. So not everyone had the capability to use them on their machine. So now we offer this ability in the browser, and you can compare with the end result and what's on the site. So you can match geometry, planned work, and actual geometry, actual result from the site, which is quite cool. And there's more to come, but It's not ready yet, so you can see differences here. Okay, there's a small mistake here. This column is not correctly, is not in the right place, right? Okay, I said I want to show you lastly a little video about how to use the LIDAR sensor from an iPad. So I will cover that now. So here we go. It's a video I recorded previously. I didn't do it live, but you will get the point. So, sorry, let me start over. It's a small app that you can find on your famous app store. And it's the one I used is Sidescape because it's quite handy. It can export automatically E57 format. So what you do here, it's an iPad Pro. So I'm just scanning the office by basically looking at it through the camera. So you see it's like a beam of points going to the objects and recording the positions of everything. So you go through until you reach the max capability of the tool, of this app. And once you've done that, you just have to display the result in the viewer like this. So it's a point cloud. You can name it, save it. It has some format inside the app. But the good thing with this one, at least, is that you can export this point cloud directly to E57 format. So you can either do it from the app in the iPad and push it to your desktop. That's what I did here. Here we go. And you can also upload it from directly from our app, and there will be a tutorial coming out explaining this. So if you want to see the end result, if I go back to my project here, I will show you what it gives. So you have several files because you have limitation on the app, so you can't do a large area. But when you start displaying them, here you go, you can make them together like this, so you can display more of them at the same time. And I think I need to go to a different area where they are all together. Let me see if that's more correct. Here we go. Yeah, this looks better. Here we go. So as you can see, I loaded like 5 different point clouds together, and then you can navigate the end result. And this has been done in a few minutes, really, from an iPad Pro in Catenda's office in Oslo. And you can have this available on site. So this technology, acquiring point clouds, is really at your fingertips. It's not as difficult as it was some years ago. But I will produce probably a tutorial or two about this setup and how to use it. And of course, if you want to have more details in a way, you need to wait a bit in the viewer. So you see along the way it's streaming and increasing in details. And then you can tune, of course, individually. You can keep some parts and remove some others. And then when you have one model like this, you can adapt a bit the point density. So get sometime a more refined result. So it's not, it's a way to use it from the site in a way, I would say. You can use it today with your device. Let me show you another example maybe. Yeah, another example here. I will remove this one. This is a 3 GB, so you see it's quite large. 3 GB of data is quite huge, but it displays instantly in the viewer. Of course, all the details are not there already. It's still loading now along the way, but you have a very good user experience, I would say. And then you can tune. So here you see some like fat, I would say, points. But if you wait a bit, it will get more and more detail. So you just have to be a bit patient. And if you want to have quicker results, you can just tune the point size. You can reduce it a bit and put it to fixed. So then you have control of everything you have in your browser. Here you go. So I hope you liked this presentation. I hope you liked and enjoyed the end result in Bimsync. I'm personally very happy with the end result. I think this feature is a really nice addition to Bimsync environment. As always, if you have some questions or requests, you can contact us at sales@catenda.no and my personal email, and also on social medias. I thank you very much for attending today, and I see you in the next one. Bye-bye.